Hey, yes. Um, yeah, well said, I can introduce myself. Probably most of you know me. Just in case you don't know, my name is Kei Cheung. I'm faculty at the BITS department. Um, yes, so I've been, working with patient database on the VA side, Veterans Healthcare, and on the Yale side. One of the projects I've been working on is this water contamination project. So I call it text water because its goal is to use natural language processing to turn large amounts of text into knowledge base. And just want to set the expectation, so don't expect too much. So this is still preliminary work. It's work in progress. So I sort of, want to bring this here as a platform for brainstorming and learn from you, actually, because you guys are for LLM experts. So maybe we could, have some, you have some good ideas, suggestions that help me to incorporate and improve this project as we move forward. So without further ado, let me go into the background. I hope people online can hear me okay. Yeah, so just give you some public health background. So water contamination, as you may know, is one of the biggest public health concerns, even though, the current administration deregulate all these water rules or law. But still, I think should be whatever decision to make in terms of regulation or deregulation still should be data-driven. And according to CDC, a quarter of the global population, about 2 billion people, have unsafe drinking water sources. Especially this problem is especially serious in those developing or poor countries. Chemical contamination of drinking water can lead to a wide range of chronic disease conditions, including cancer, developmental, neurological, and reproductive disorders. Only a handful of such chemicals have been extensively studied, evaluated regarding their human exposures and health impacts. So what is water contaminants of emerging concerns? So water contamination is not a new problem. So we have found, a large, a number of different water contaminants. Some may be considered more like legacy type of water contaminants, but some are new emerging contaminants. So this is what we are focusing here. So a broad and increasing variety of chemical compounds, which have been found in the water in different water systems, are characterized as emerging water contaminants or ECs. So these ECs originate from different sources, including personal care products, pesticides, pharmaceuticals, plastics, industrial processes, and a numerous array of emissions to the environment. Just like all these SpaceX launch. So they've done a lot of, fields in the ocean. So according to the US EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, contaminant of emerging concern is designated to compounds of which the risk of human health and the environment is not fully understood. And drinking water standards have not been developed to regulate this type of chemicals, how they should be handled, or what is the concentration level that is considered risky for human consumption. So the lack of regulatory oversight and uncertainty in the exposure and health data make these ECs a major environmental and public health concern. So there's definitely a paucity or lack of knowledge on emerging water contaminants in terms of their occurrence and exposure. Therefore, data-driven environmental health sciences research could bring hopes to fill this knowledge gap. As there's a growing body of literature related to EC exposure, here we propose to use natural language processing or NLP methods to survey the literature to identify emerging contaminants and extract the exposure information from the scientific text. So as you all know, name entity recognition, or NER, is a task in natural language processing that involves identifying and classifying name entities in free text into predefined categories such as drug, disease, and geographical locations. So NER is a key step in turning large amounts of unstructured textual data into a structured metadata or data or knowledge that are more machine or even AI friendly. So as you know, there are a variety of approaches to NER, starting with the very old one, basic one, which is dictionary-based matching, which rely on the use of some comprehensive vocabulary or dictionary, including synonyms, to do sort of, this term matching. Of course, the limitation, as you know, is, even is considered comprehensive, it's kind of like a fixed set of vocabulary. So it may be not, evolving or up to date enough to handle specific research domain or the needs. Then next, you can use, regular expression or rule-based type of methods to, have more sophisticated, approach to mine the text in the literature or even the medical notes to extract the entities of your interest. But of course, this rule-based method, although sometimes it works quite well, is limited because every time you have an exception, you have to devise a new rule. And this approach, therefore, is not that scalable because over time you find more and more exceptions that you may miss in the rule-based system. So it's difficult to maintain. So next come to more traditional machine learning technique, such as those using like linear regression model or boundary regression model, so which rely on labels in the training set to train the model to do the prediction. And then, more recently, you have this deep learning approach, which can be applied to both label and unlabeled data, like artificial neural network. So that could, be used to do this name entity recognition task quite well. And more recently, large language models have been very popular, as you all have used and fine-tune it or train your new LLM model for specific use cases. So things like ChatGPT is basically a very large-scale deep learning model which can predict the next word given an existing sequence of word. So based on the word probability. So a large language model basically is trained on very large amounts of data, existing data. So it's very, powerful, but it's computationally intensive. So our goal here is to build a system to transform large amount of text, in this case, from the literature, to structure knowledge or knowledge graph. So this transformation process or transformer process basically involve interaction combination between LLM, large language models, and ontologies. in this case, ontologies in the environmental health science domain. So basically, we have free text as input to this system, and the output of this system is a structured, machine-readable knowledge graph linked to different ontologies. So now, when we talk about literature, so one thing you may think of is the PubMed, literature database. As you know, so PubMed articles have been indexed using MASH, medical subject heading terms. So that's sort of considered the low-hanging fruit because it's already indexed with MASH terms. So with this MASH term indexing, you can go to PubMed and not only issue keyword search type of search, but also concept-based retrieval of the articles. So MASH indexing have been done by human indexers for many years. It was recently transitioned to automated indexing starting in 2022. So they have this next generation automated full text indexing based on MASH. So this next generation system is called MTIX. So MTIX was trained on millions of Medline citations published over 15 years from 2007 to 2022. But human curators are still needed to review selected sets of automatically indexed citations and make necessary revisions or corrections that in turn can be fed to fine-tune, can be used to fine-tune the machine learning model. So what are the limitations or drawbacks of MASH? Okay, as you may know, not all papers or articles have been indexed with MASH terms. And MASH it may not be comprehensive enough. For example, it has insufficient coverage of things like metabolites, genes, or even proteins. MASH doesn't cover new or emerging topics such as the exposure to emerging contaminants. And our proposed solution here is to incorporate more vocabularies or ontologies, including those that are relevant to the environmental exposure domain. And we use LLM to aid in the process of mapping free text to ontological terms. And at the same time, we use ontologies to guide the LLM's question and answering process. So when I started this project, given a limited resource and at that time I still don't have access to the Azure OpenAI at Yale, so I started using Gemini because I've been using Google Colab platform, which integrate with Gemini. So I just use Gemini to start some interactive query. But the nice thing about Gemini at that time, I can use API, which is limited. I cannot process a whole lot of articles at one time, but still I can process thousands of abstracts for free. Okay. So I just want to show you, because the first thing when I learn about LLM is I was aware that LLM did a pretty good job in terms of summarization, text summarization. So that's what I would like to try, given abstract or even full text article, in order to reduce the amount of input data, input text. Maybe if it does a good job in terms of text summarization, maybe I can start with that to condense the abstract. Some of them could be quite long into shorter, more concise form that could, improve not only performance but even accuracy of the name entity recognition task. So in this example, so I started with natural language question. I make this a prompt, this request, identify the following types of information as mentioned in the following abstract. Entities like water contaminants, geographical locations, and potential health impacts on species. So basically, this, of course, would identify the different types of entities I mentioned as part of the prompt. For example, water contaminants like benzophenone, and the synonym is oxybenzone. So that's the only emerging water contaminant found in this article, and also other types of entities like species, fish, and humans you see here. In terms of geographical location, it only identifies very broad type of geographical entity like waterways. And in terms of health impacts, it found this potential link to Hirschsprung disease, photocontact allergy reactions, and endocrine disruptor. So those are the potential health impacts. But I want to draw your attention to this last sentence here underlined, okay, which quite impressed me. And as you can see in this long sentence, it mentioned two other chemicals or even water contaminants, micronized zinc oxide and titanium dioxide. Okay, even though these two contaminants as part of the sunscreen products are mentioned in the article, but it's this Gemini large language model is smart enough to understand that although these two chemicals were mentioned in this article, but that these two chemicals are not the focus of this paper. So this paper is focusing on just one water contaminant, which is the oxybenzone, okay? And it specifically study the dermatological impact of this water contaminants when it comes into contact with human skin. So it would irritate human skin and cause some kind of inflammation. So that's the focus of this study. So, when these two other chemicals were mentioned, but they just are mentioned in the context that, it's just casually mentioned, so for newer kind of sunscreen products. So these are sort of the improved ingredients by using these two chemicals. So these are more effective type of chemicals, may cause less irritation to the screen, to the human skin. So in this, summarization task, I think LLM does a pretty good job identifying the relevant water contaminants. Of course, as the challenge of using LLM is depending on how you ask the question, how you phrase the question, you may get different answers. Okay, so in this case, although I focus on identifying different types of entities, but things like ingesting, okay. So here, so in this abstract, you can tell, so through ingestion of fish contaminated with oxybenzone. So if a human, ingests fish contaminated with this chemical, so that may be a problem. So that may be a health concern. So this is a relationship, okay, that I missed. But, I think it would be great not only identify the entities of your interest, but the relationship of the entities, between entities would be also significant. So that got me thinking, how should I ask the right questions? Okay, is there a way to guide the user to answer the right questions, for the text input? Okay, so this is the summarization results. So it identified only one water contaminants, although two other were mentioned in the abstract, but they are not relevant to this study. the potential health impacts on different species like human and fish, and finally geographical locations. Of course, it's not a specific type of location, but just general things like waterways. So now, in order to guide the user to answer the right question in this context, so I look at existing environmental ontologies to see if they provide some kind of a structure that could help users to formulate better or more correct, more relevant questions to get the most relevant results. So I found this environmental conditions, treatments, and exposure ontology, or ECTO. So I just show you a portion of this ontology. On the right, you can see the general structure. So any exposure event, like exposure to a particular emerging water contaminant, so this purple box in the middle, so it's has a stimulus and a receptor, two other components that are related to this exposure event concept. Of course, each class or concept can have other relationships to other concepts, or that concept may have its own properties, like the medium, like the root of taking the medium, and also for things like the receptor. It could be a human, it could be fish, it could be any species. And in terms of an exposure event, it may have properties like duration, location of the event, et cetera, et cetera. And then on the right, you can see the outcome relationship. Certain type of exposure or exposure event can contribute to certain health outcome. So on the right of the diagram, you can see some examples, right? Instances, based on this knowledge structure. For example, if this is an exposure event to certain chemical called retrieval in this case, so you can see the stimulus is this particular chemical, and also the medium in this case is apple, right? Someone ingests the apple. Now you can see the ingest relationship here, ingestion in this case, so which is captured by this ontology. So I could use this relationship ingestion to refine the question to extract the relationship I found in the previous abstract. So in this case, the receptor is a human species. And then, the health outcome could be some kind of, clinical measurement or lab test results, or a certain neurological disease or disorder, or at the molecular level, if you are interested in the molecular mechanism underlying the medical condition. So in this case, we can link to different ontologies, like the gene ontology, the disease ontology, or NCBI taxonomy ontologies. So this is sort of, an example showing you how I can use ontological structure to potentially guide the question answering process to extract the relevant type of entities, including relationships, and also use the ontology to populate the knowledge graph based on what I have extracted. So basically the same abstract, I can use a different question, which is more driven by the ontologies, right? It's still natural language question, like identify the root, the medium, and receptor of oxybenzone exposure in the following abstract. So I phrase a different questions, but this question is more guided by the structure of that ETOC ontology. Okay. Okay, next, if you really want to follow that ontological structure, so you can, do very precise prompt engineering, as you may know. Okay, so basically I can use the ontological structure, not only the structure, but the definition of the concepts to increase the level of details that I can potentially extract from the text, from the literature, and also the output of the extraction can be formatted based on the same ontological structure to become a knowledge graph. So this example, I just show you how I can do this precise prompt engineering, starting with sorry, so let me back step a little bit. So talking about definition of concepts, okay? So to make sure you identify the right types of entities, the right types of, based on the correct concepts. So you really need to use the standard definitions of the concepts, which is provided by the ontology. So the nice thing about ontology, it includes a definition of the concepts, definition of the relationship. So it's very precise without any ambiguity. So in this case, as you see in the ECTO ontology, it has concepts like stressor, receptor, exposure event, and outcome. Each of these concepts come with a standard definition. So now I can, do this prompt engineering. So as you may know, this ontology-guided prompt engineering has different components, different parts. The first is the system prompt. So you basically tell the system, I'm going to perform a name entity recognition task. And then, the user prompt and the assistant prompt follows. And then, the guideline prompt, as you see, sort of, at the bottom, is constructed based on the ontological structure with examples that you can provide, and also the format of the output you desire. So in this case, I first provide the definitions of different types of entities based on the definition I found in the ontologies. So next, I define the output format. In this case, I want this JSON format. When I identify stressor or receptor or exposure events, I want to use this output JSON format to store the results. And finally, I also provide examples. And this is also, as you know, a very important step to make sure I provide the relevant examples. So this is sort of like a few shot type of approach to help LLM to get the results that you want. So after I finish this prompt engineering, so now I can provide the text, in this case, the abstract or the summary of the abstract, and the output is shown here in JSON formats. So you can do this if you're API, so you can perform this process automatically for a large number of abstracts or papers. So this is, of course, we want a domain expert to review, to inspect your results, make sure you produce the correct results, or you can, make some correction or refinement to fine-tune the model. So basically, we use this metadata tool developed by Dr. Shu's lab, so to let the domain expert to look at the annotated abstract to make sure we didn't miss anything or we didn't misidentify anything. And of course, you can export, from this metadata tool to a machine-friendly format if you want to put it in a structured database, for example. So basically, we have written a pipeline. So when I did this, I just used Gemini instead of ChatGPT. But now, since we have now API access to OpenAI, so we'll switch to using OpenAI. So I, we also use the NCBI e-utilities API to extract the articles or the abstracts. And then, we pipe it through the LLM system to process the abstracts and get the output, the extracted entities that can be mapped to different ontologies, including the CHEPI chemical ontology, the NCBI taxonomy, gene ontology, human disease ontology, etc. And we use the NCBO bioportal annotator to map extract entities to existing ontological concepts. So next, I want to just sort of touch on data visualization. So after you process, say, tens of thousands of abstracts, so you got all these large number of extracted entities of different types. Of course, you want to, maybe to visualize the annotated results. You can use, basic visualization technique like, word cloud to highlight those water contaminants that are frequently detected in the text, in the articles, like dioxin has been recently detected as a major type of emerging water contaminants. Of course, you can use a more sophisticated visualization technique like this one developed by Dr. Shu's lab. So basically, I processed, about 1,500 abstracts with the help of Juan. So he helped me to put this into this visualization tool. So basically, what I've given him is these chemical terms I extracted from this abstract using LLM. I know the tool originally designed to, display using mesh terms, but here I just, give them the chemical terms so they can use to embed those chemical terms and use those terms to, form different clusters. As you may know, different colors here represent different time period and the size of each node. Each node represents a citation, an abstract, and the size of the circle represent how many times that particular paper has been cited. So the bigger the circle, the higher number of citations. And at the bottom of the screen, you can see a time window. So because this is over roughly 20 years, so you can slide the time window to select particular year or a range of years. And then you can see how these emerging contaminants evolve over a period of time. And I think this is a nice tool to allow users to get a bird's eye view, and also in terms of identifying new emerging chemicals. Using this type of visualization tool, you can quite easily find emerging contaminants, water contaminants that have been recently reported in the paper. So next, I would like to try with, different types of entities, even including geographical locations. So I think, with things like geographical location, you can actually, superimpose this type of network onto a geographical map to give an extra dimension for you to explore. Now, with that, I'm doing also some social network analysis and visualization on the VA side. Okay, so in this case, so I went into the VA patient warehouse, in this case, the corporate data warehouse, CDW. So to extract encounter information like provider-patient encounters or visits for epilepsy patients. So I use ICD-9, ICD-10 codes to get all this encounter information for epilepsy patients over 20 years, from year 2000 to year 2020. So basically, I created this simple knowledge graph. So basically, this is provider to provider connections. And also each provider can have additional annotation information, like which VA center that provider is affiliated with. So I store this graph, which is pretty big because it's over 20 years for tens of thousands of patients with maybe hundreds of providers each year. So this, although the structure is relatively simple, but the size of the network or the graph is pretty huge. So in order to query it efficiently, I loaded this, I transformed basically this encounter data set into this graph format, graph model. And then I store it, I load it into Neo4j graph database. And so I can query it very efficiently using the Cipher query, which is the graphical query language supported by Neo4j graph database. So I can query it, and the nice thing is that I found this Giphy visualization tool. I don't know any of you have used Giphy before. So basically, I could use Giphy to link to Neo4j, because Giphy now has a new plugin to Neo4j. So I could issue a Cipher query or non-SQL query within Giphy to extract data from Neo4j, for example, for a particular year, for particular groups of physicians, like certain VA centers. So I can issue that type of graph-based query within Giphy to just import over a subset of this provider network for visualization purpose. And also the nice thing about Giphy, it allows me to do social network analysis very easily. One social network analysis metrics I can simply do is the calculation of node degrees. So basically, a node degree is the number of connection. It calculates the number of connections for each node in the network. So in this simple example here, you can see, doctors A, B, C, D, E. So through their patient encounter, so I could, link between among physicians based on the common patients they have seen. So basically, I can, calculate the node degree for each provider node. For example, provider A just have the node degree is 1 because it's only connected to another one physician B through the common patient. And provider B, the node degree for that is 3. So basically, using this type of simple social network analysis, I can do visualization based on this type of social network analysis. So now here is the social network for this 2 years, just before COVID and during the start of the COVID. So now the picture on the left is the social network diagram for 2019 and otherwise 2020. And in this case, I have 3 groups of providers because VA Healthcare introduced this new policy in 2009 to create this consortium of so-called Center of Excellence for Epilepsy Care. Okay, it started with a small number of VA centers. The whole VA has over 150 medical centers. So at the beginning of 2018, so it has maybe a dozen of VA centers participate in this specialized network for veterans epilepsy care. So over time, so this network grow and also forming an affiliated consortium with now over 50 VA medical centers participating in the consortium. So you have this sort of like a hub-spoke type of structure for epilepsy care, coordinated within the whole VA system. And of course, there are also other VA centers that are not participating in this hub-spoke model of epilepsy care. And you can see the community patterns, between these 2 years. Of course, I still haven't been able to, talk to the epilepsy researcher to get some insight, interpretation into the different community pattern found in these 2 years social networks. But here, just using a no degree, so because providers are connected in this case, so I can use different colors for different groups of epilepsy providers to identify their social network, their community patterns using visualization like this. And you can see, different clusters, different for the 3 groups are pretty, separated. And I don't know. I mean, it's like the bigger the node, meaning that a provider is sort of like the hub, the most expert in that particular group of neurologists. So everybody sort of go to them, and he refer patients to other epilepsy providers. So that's sort of the what the network tell you. So, and I really so sort of stop here and then let you ask question. Yeah, sure.
So each dot here is the provider.
Yeah.
And how those clusters together means what? They are
right. So I use a topological clustering. So this is another thing provided by Giphy. So with the node degree, so basically those with similar node degree would be more cluster together. And I also filter the provider based on the provider information. Like, I only include those who are neurologist specialties, primary care provider, and ED physicians. Okay, so those are the filter I apply to this. So I think here, I still need to shift through the data and consult the neurologist. So I just use this basic first step to calculate the node degree, and I also filter out because each pair provider, so they are linked because they have shared a number of shared patients. Okay, some may have higher number of shared patients. Some may have even thousands of patients share with each other. So I basically create a weight. So I also filter based on the rate. I don't want to include pairs that only have 1 patient or less than 10 patients. So I perform those filtering to reduce the number of edges, the complexity of the graph, basically. And then I perform this visual clustering using Giphy based on this filter data set.
So then from 2019 to 2020, so for the same provider, is the position same or it's actually different?
Yeah, so that's another thing. Is different. I try to fix that position, and also even station. Okay, so that's another thing I'm still working on. I try to right now it's like it's quite moving part. So I really want to maybe you have more thought in that. So if I want to sort of fix it, have the same reference, like for the same station, for the same medical center, or for the same region. So how do I use that to for the social network analysis? So I think that's also relate back to the visualization tool that you are developing. So maybe
we literally today were discussing this how to show the evolution trends on the visualization. And today was the main. This is going to be a really good use case if we develop this algorithm to show the evolution.
Yeah, so that's basically what we are trying to do, because we have over 20 years And then, you know, before the policy instituted and after the policy instituted for epilepsy care and also COVID period. So we may be able to, you know, find some interesting pattern using network, social network analysis visualization like this. Any other question? Well, thank you. Yeah, just for future direction, I would like to continue to explore this and utilize a graph database, as I mentioned, because it's good for handling a query large amount of network data laterally. Because using relational SQL database is very inefficient to do massive join, especially self-table join. But using a graph model is very efficient. Definitely, you know, richer visualization even include GIS and compare different LLM models, validation, and you know, broaden the scope of the literatures to cover other environmental domains like air pollution, and also incorporate more ontologies beyond the ontology I just showed you. And finally, FAIR principles should be adopted in order to share this type of resources. Last but not the least, would like to give thanks to the whole NLP team in several members in Dr. Shu's lab, including Juan, Wei Pan, and Pepina, and also, you know, domain expert. We collaborated with Dr. Diso and with Baxillo at the School of Public Health, and also a couple of ontologists at Stanford, Mark Wilson, who came here recently to give a talk on ontology, and the funding agency, NIEHS. Yeah, thank you. You don't need to clap again. Thank you. Any additional questions?
When you only have large language model to output those entities, but that when there's like same word in the original sentence, like it appears twice, but maybe the first is empty, maybe the second one is empty. For example, like I speak Chinese and I love Chinese food. So if we want to detect maybe language information, first Chinese should be an entity, but the second one should not be an entity. So in this case, when the output like it output one Chinese, but it's difficult to tell which one it actually represents as.
Yeah, so I think, you know, yeah, definitely there are entity terms occur multiple times in the same text, same paper or abstract. Yeah, so we really have to look at the whole context, right, where that term occur to disambiguate or, you know, to determine they are the same or different types of entities. And also the example I showed you previously, it mentioned several chemicals, right? But it determined only one is relevant, but the other two is just they superficially mentioned, but not the focus of this the study mentioned in the paper. So I think that was pretty good. And also even for emerging water contaminants, there's multiple definitions. So I'm still in the process of finding what are the most commonly used standard definition for emerging water contaminants. Sometimes when I do the prompt engineering, depending on which definition I choose, I may get slightly different results. And in one case, the same abstract mentioned several contaminants, but it mentioned two of those chemicals were previously detected, identified, right? So when I use slightly different water contaminant definition, I only want to include those water contaminants that have been recently, very recently reported. So if I add that as part of the definition, then those two previously reported identified contaminants were not included in the output. So you see, I think this is pretty challenging, or sometimes is flexibility, right? You may not have only one definitions depending on which country you are dealing with, because each country have different regulations or deregulations. So you may decide to use different definitions in different cases, and that may produce different results. Yeah.
The prompt is actually very important thing. People prompts may differ in about in a very big difference to those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Next, asking about the position of the entity. Yeah. Well, let's show me the definition. That's one way of entity.
Mm-hmm.
Visualization right now, the dot, the one that I want to, the dot is the paper, right?
Right.
Also, you can think about something the dot or the entity or the
Right. And also the links, because right now you don't have any links, right? Right.
I think she's trying to do work on visualization for all the ontologies. I guess from the file for all the ontology, every turn show up on the map.
Right.
They will have a complete semantic space of the entire biomedical concept to see where this ontology locates and covers what kind of semantic space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just thought maybe one way to, if you really come up with this ontology, is the way to visualize where this ontology fits, right? In the among all other ontologies. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yes.
Just follow up on that. You had one ontology or three ontologies you picked, right?
Right.
Something like that. Suppose there are 10 ontologies. How do you pick an ontology?
Yeah, that's always not a easy to answer question. So it's like in this case, because I'm focusing more on the water, emerging water contaminants and the associated context. So I found this ECTO ontology a good fit because it basically captures all the types of entities and even relationships that I want from the literature. And sometimes there are overlapping ontologies, definitely. And even the ontology I show you is an integration of multiple other ontologies combined together. So you see, on one hand, some ontologies are consolidating over time, so it become more comprehensive and maybe more relevant to the problem you're trying to address. And in case you have overlapping ontologies, was NCBO recommender, they have some metric like coverage, for example, based on all the terms that you need, which ontology, if they overlap, give you the highest coverage. Choose that ontology. So there's some objective criteria. But in this case, I just started with quite subjective selection because it's basically environmental ontology, and you will have gaps for sure. No ontology will cover everything, even in your specific domain.
Is there a standardized way of merging ontologies, or is that largely by experience that it comes in? I don't really important terms. Because one of the things that, as a naive guy, when I look at, let's say, two things that I've worked,
5,000 elements in each
Right.
ontology, 4,800 and 4,900. Coverage indicators are almost the same, but they are widely different.
Right, right. And also the quality of the ontology, the indication, one indicator of that, if you go to BioPortal, they show you what are the current top 5 mostly used ontologies. So that means those ontologies are being maintained. You don't want to use ontology that have been inactive for a long time, right? So those are some of the objective criteria. And right, and for sure, for certain types of entities, like chemical entities, I think the only one, most comprehensive one is CAPI. Right, I think that's for sure. Yeah, you don't want to use any other chemical vocabularies, but CAPI is the de facto to use.
Visualization, we talked about one use case is also trying to select which ontology.
I think that would be really useful for
For the return, it's here, then the ontology is here, then you can see how much overlap. Yeah.
Right.
that would be a really useful aspect of it.
Yeah, because one challenge for our domain expert is to find the right ontologies. Even with NCBO, you use a recommender annotator. There's no easy way to find the right one.
Sometimes maybe like you said, it's not just one, maybe those 3 ontologies together better for this.
Right.
Exactly. You're trying to do.
Yeah.
And to link those ontologies is not always easy. That's why there's so much effort, like in UMLS, really trying to link all the 130 different ontologies, all the concepts. Are they really same concept, right? So then you can see the overlaps.
Right. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah. Thank you.
By the way, the metadata, it's not developed by us. Developed by one, but by Hong Kong School.
Oh, really? Okay. Thank you for the correction.